Thanks for tuning into the Carry Handle podcast. Here's your host, Bryce and Kevin.
Welcome back to the Carry Handle podcast. My name is Bryce, and with me, as always, is Kevin, and eventually I'll stop saying my name, even though my wife introduces me. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hi, my name is Kevin, and that is Bryce.
Well, we have to add, everybody needs to do it. It's fine. It's totally cool. Before we get too far into the episode, I should roll the friends of the channel really quickly. I still haven't updated the end of the friends thing. Mike doesn't do firearms anymore because it's too much of a pain in the ass, so just disregard that section of it, but I don't want to make my wife re-record that immediately after she just did it. She's gracious. We love her. Thank you. I'm going to hit that right now.
We want to take this time to thank friends of the channel who provided us 10% discount codes for our listeners. That's you, and we don't get kickbacks. First is Hammy 3D Prints. Thousands of products for firearm storage and other fun stuff too. Code CarryHandle10. Eastern Shore Sling Company. Handmade rifle slings and custom sewing. Dog leashes too. Code CarryHandle. 19 Charlie Tactical. Gunsmithing, Kydex holsters, thousands of dropship gun parts, accessories, tools, firearms. Code TheCarryHandle10. And lastly, I want to thank myself for all the scheduling and all the shenanigans I deal with daily. Thank you, Hannah.
Yes, thank you, my dearest love. We very much appreciate you. We also appreciate Mr. Mark Smith of a JBS training group for joining the show today. How are you, sir?
Very well, sir. Better than I deserve, for sure.
I can commiserate. So for a couple people that don't know who you are, would you mind giving just a quick intro?
Yeah. I am Mark Smith. I own and operate a company called JBS Training Group, which is a firearms training company where I show up and I give you information on modern performance principles to help shortcut your journey in being the best performance shooter you can be. Been very fortunate. Been doing this is my sixth full-time year. Trained everybody from brand new shooters who've never touched a gun before, all the way up to some of the highest levels that people aspire to be at. And not sure really how I've been blessed beyond that kind of measure, but that's what's going on. And the benefit that I find with it is I get to meet probably like more cool people than anybody else ever gets to meet. Like everybody that I deal with is great, man. Great dudes, and I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of my really good friends doing this. So I'm just a dude. I shoot guns, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Fair enough. That's who we like to talk to. So where'd you get your start in terms of shooting? Like before JBS?
Yeah. 2011, got married. Had a small child on the way soon thereafter that. And I take my responsibility as the protector, provider, and kind of overall leader of this family pretty seriously. And so I knew that carrying a gun, shoving a gun in my pants was going to be an obligation, not really a choice, just based on how I felt about it. And because I grew up, in the South, man, and I was born a male, so I know how to build fires, shoot guns, drive cars. I don't need no help from nobody with none of that, right? That kind of thing. And went to my first ever training class because the internet suggested I should, not because I thought that I was in need of anything, right? Uh, Jumped in with both feet, went to Frank Proctor's shooting school down in Eastaboga, Alabama, and saw folks doing stuff with pistols that looked like magic tricks to me. I didn't. I genuinely was detached from the fact that human beings were doing this. Like I didn't know that dudes were able to do things like this, and it was quite a shocker. It was quite a surreal event because I'd gone from being 20 plus years. I know how to do this to come to the realization that I had no idea what I was doing the entire time, and nobody ever told me, and that's probably because they didn't either. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so then ended up getting into competing because the internet said I should, and because I had a very big interest in how everybody always said that the gamers are a bunch of homos, right? And competitive shooting will get you killed in the streets, and it has nothing, it teach you all these bad habits and all these training scars. The good Lord saw fit to give me a character flaw that can sometimes be a really good thing, which is I am a natural skeptic, man, and I just frankly don't believe you. And it's not because I think you're maliciously lying to me. It's because like how many times in our lives have we thought we really knew something and found out we were wrong? And so I wanted to go check this out for myself. I was like, let me go. I got to go see about this, right? And I got beat by a 15-year-old girl and a dentist. I remember that. Not no shade against any dentists out there, but like most people have never met a dentist they were afraid of. You know what I mean? That kind of
That's
thing.
fair.
And so
My
I
2-year-old would disagree.
that felt weird, right? I didn't like that, and so I had this moment where I was like, man, I've either got to get better at this or I've got to stop doing it because I don't personally not projection, right? But I don't do things that I suck at. I don't enjoy that. It's always kind of weird to me how a dude can go like shoot a 184 on a golf course and have a great time. Like I just don't want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so I knew by way of obligation, I can't just not do this. So you got to get better at it, right? And one thing led to another, got into the pistol thing, and then I figured out what a rifle was and got into that, and then I figured out I could do the rifle thing way far over there and got into that, and so the interesting thing about me that I feel again very fortunate, very blessed to be able to say like I shoot everything, and so the cool thing that affords the students is I rob concepts from like all of those different categories for whatever we're doing, right? So like
Right.
your red dot 12.5 inch gun, like I'm going to teach you some stuff from the precision gas gun side of the house about this particular gun that most people just never look at because they just don't play over there. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
um anyway, and then next thing you know, somebody asked if I could show them how to do some stuff, and then another person asked, and then somebody offered me $20. That's a true story. And next thing you know, I didn't even know this industry existed like this. And one thing led to another. It was very organic. I never planned it, and I still to this day am kind of just sitting around waiting on the rug to get pulled out from under me because it feels like like it's like pinch myself kind of thing. Like I got the coolest job in the world, man, and I'm not sure what's happening. You know, but yeah, it's fun.
That's basically the best story. I love that.
That's
Well,
awesome.
so
Yeah.
you started full time doing this full time 6 years ago.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when you were starting in the competition world because you felt motivated to do that, and that was a level of performance you felt like you needed to reach, or was there a plateau you wanted to get to, or
It started just out of curiosity. And like I started out going to all I got the training bug very early on. Uh, Everywhere I would go, I would hear something that I'd never heard before, and so it became almost addictive. Like I wanted to go see what else anybody else could
yeah,
tell me about this thing. And so
yeah,
the majority of the initial courses that I went to were very defensive in nature. White light simunition based stuff,
mm,
rolling around on the ground, crawl under this tank that we got somebody to bring in from the, VFW down the road, just crazy
yeah,
stuff. And all of those dudes were always clowning the gamers. And I
right,
remember thinking, I don't know, bro, like I see these videos, right? And it's like I can't do what this dude's doing. Like I feel like that'd be cool if we could do that. So I just want to like go look at this and just go see. And so I just went and signed up. I went to a steel
yeah,
challenge match. That was the first thing I ever did, and it was wild. I got tuned up pretty good. And it's like none of these dudes are training what I'm training, but they're all beating me. And so I was smart enough back then to have the recognition that I am training for defensive engagements. However, these dudes are training for competitive engagements. And if you swap out the paper for like the pirate with the suicide vest or whatever your fantasy is, right? What's the difference, dude? Like, do we not want to put the bullets where we want them to go as fast as we can? Like,
right, yeah.
that's,
Right.
and so
Just
that
put
just made
these
sense to
things
me.
there.
Yeah. And
Right.
so I started again, like I don't like doing things I suck at, right? So initial classification at a B class level, and I knew that there were like way more above that, and so it wasn't that B class was crappy, it was that it was nowhere near the top, and I wanted to be at the top, and so I woke up one day, and Papa always said the difference between a man doing something and not doing it is just deciding, right? And I woke up one day and I decided I was going to make GM by the end of 2021, come hell or high water. I didn't care what I had to do. I was going to do whatever I had to do. And I did it. I did it 4 months later. And so
Wow.
that was
Okay.
now I not because I'm special, but because I'm crazy, right? So I did a lot of stuff that I tell dudes like I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do. Like I dry fired for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening every day for 47 days, and I never missed a session, and and I missed ball games, I missed family dinners, I missed lots of things because that took over, and it was truly the obsession that took me up there, not my natural ability, you know. And from there, the rifle world started smiling at me. So I went over there, started playing around with that a little bit, and then got into the scope gas gun game where we're doing 200 to 600 yard stuff. And now there's a two gun with the the pistol shooting and all the rifle
PCSL.
targets are past. Well, the two
Yeah.
gun that I'm talking about specifically would be like your Geisley gas gun series, your tactical
Okay.
sniper series, where you're doing the pistol work, but you're also doing the rifle work. But all the rifle targets are like 200 to 700 yards, 200 to 800
Is that
yards.
like the DMR stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
That's my
Okay.
bread. That's
Okay.
my bread and butter now, man. That's where my heart lives. I like that more than
Really?
anything. Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite.
So, how much are you getting in terms of translations for applications of skills from handguns to rifles? Because I do see your YouTube videos, which I
Yeah.
love. I mean, but in terms of how you're presenting the red dot and you're presenting the rifle or the handgun,
Yep.
what kind of translation?
Very, very similar. So one of the things that I've talked to people a lot about this outlaw DMR style world is that you've got basically two camps of dudes. You've either got dudes that have gotten kind of curious from the PRS side of the house and they're coming over to
Yeah.
kind of play around over here, or you've got dudes that have never really competed in much of anything and this is just what calls to them and so they just come and they hang out. I've got an experience with the USPSA side, and so what I have found is that one of a lot of dudes' main issues, in my opinion, in that sport is that they got too much PRS sniper light in them and they ain't got enough USPSA in them, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't know what it's like to like really go fast. And so they're setting up for these absolutely perfect shots on targets that don't require
Mm.
perfect shots. And when the trigger speed slows down, so does everything else. So they move like turtles, right? And it's like, sir, are you aware this is a timed event? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Moving your
Yes.
bag, getting your
yeah,
stuff up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
that's
a
interesting.
lot of my USPSA gamer stuff absolutely plays in, and like the like speaking to the gamer stuff, like I'm a gamer through and through, dude. Like I'll cheat where you let me. So like if you tell me
Mm.
the written stage brief and it's got a little hole in it that I can exploit based on what it said, like I'm gonna do that. Whereas all these dudes from the other side of the fence, like they never experienced any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. But as far as just the mechanics of what we're doing, they are different. But I think the principles of what we're trying to accomplish are very similar. Like there's not a lot that's very different. And I think that there's kind of a line between like your standing on your feet, red dot, go fast gun stuff versus your more barricaded, sometimes standing on your feet, scoped gas gun stuff. But the commonalities are definitely more often than they are rare, for sure.
Okay. So even under magnification, when you're pushing like 5 to like 18x or whatever it is that
Mhm,
your magnification
mhm.
range, are you applying the same fundamentals when you're presenting like a red dot pistol and then you're going target to translation or transitions
So
magnified or no?
so you'll start 3 to 5 yards off the barricade. They'll push the buzzer. You'll have to mount the barricade. The index is very similar. So how do we point a gun at what we're looking at? We look where we want the gun to be, not where it is, and we rep putting the gun where our eyeballs are. Right.
Mm.
Very very common to see dudes lose a lot of time by jumping on the barricade, getting in the scope, and then they'll come back up off of it and they'll look around. They'll get
Mm.
back in it. They don't have a developed index on the gun. And
Gophering.
I don't know how many of them even know that that's a thing, right? Because with a rifle, the very interesting thing is that you can be like all dicked up behind a rifle and still see the dot, like still see a
Yeah.
sight picture, right? And so they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand how bad it is because it looks the same as everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting commonalities in like again in the principles of what we're trying to do. We're trying to look at a target, point a gun at it, and react to what we're seeing as aggressively as we can.
Right. So
Okay.
in terms of magnification, I mean, are you just I know this is kind of a goofy thing. Do you do a lot of top dot stuff when with magnification or are you just index?
Yep,
Okay.
just index. Yep,
Huh.
the index is dramatically preferred over the crutch of needing the top dot. So the top dot, every time you find a target in a top dot and then you drop into a scope, number one, it assumes that you're not going to move anything and you're going to see that target when you get in the scope, which is not true all the
Yeah.
time. Number two, that's going to cost you at minimum about a second and a half every time you do it. And so, if you would just dry fire and refine your ability to point a gun at a target on the barricade and get into the scope,
Yeah.
and there it is, that would save you, over the course of six positional shifts, almost 10 seconds worth of time, right?
Oh, wow.
And so I'm always looking for ways to shoot sooner, so I don't have to shoot faster, right? And so those little like the I can tell you something that might be interesting to you. So I looked at like this is still an outlaw sport. One day it will be sanctioned. I think it's too popular for somebody not to take advantage of it. Um, and I started to look at the bottom 50% of the competitive field and like how like when they failed, when they screwed up and they shot real poorly, were there commonalities and common denominators that were showing up? And I found five things, right? And I've built multiple curriculums off of these five things. Number one is just a lack of basic rifle marksmanship. They can't index the gun the same way every time. They can't put the same pressures in it. They can't get the same head position. They can't pull a trigger without moving the metal straw, right? Until you can do that, there's no reason to even go forward with any of the other four that are still on the list, right? So the next one would be the zero. A lot of dudes have a +1 or a -1, but they ain't got no zero, right? They have what we would call a good enough zero or something that's like going to hit C's on steel at 50 yards or something like that. And they realize that, the mean gods that live at about 587 yards don't play that game, right? You either have
Yeah.
a zero or you are the zero, right? Is what I tell people, right?
Yeah.
Um, so like if there's 100 available clicks on those turrets, 99 of them bitches is wrong, right? Like there's a
Right.
zero in there somewhere, yeah. Um, the next one is going to be stability. They can't, and these are in order of leverage, and they're also in the order in which you lose them, right? Um, you lose BRM, you lose zero. You lose zero, you lose. It just kind of follows down. The next one is stability. If you can't make the gun be still, you cannot extract your skill set onto the target, right? There's no amount of good shooting you can do if the gun won't be still, right? So we have to make the gun still. They don't understand the principles of stability, meaning when they are stable on a barricade at their local range, they don't know why they are stable. And because they don't know why they are stable, they cannot recreate that on a barricade that they've never trained on, right? They don't know
Hmm.
what to do. And then the next one is going to be just data. Like, do you have data on what the gun actually does because you went out and you proofed it and you understand it? Or did you watch your favorite Navy SEAL YouTube video and he said 31 yard zero, bro, and just favor the head and you ain't even got to hold nothing, and you find out that the Maury Povich steel ding lie detector test determines that's a lie. You are not the father, right? Um, and then driving on, the last one is the movement. Again, when the trigger speed slows down, so does everybody else, man. All of their actions slow down, all of their manipulations, all of their aggression kind of leaves the chat as soon as we start feathering on a trigger.
Yeah.
And so, if we can accomplish kind of getting those five main things knocked out, BRM, zero, stability, data, and movement, we can get a dude out of here that looks something like a rifleman by the time it's over
Right.
with.
So we're I mean, I know I hear especially guys that do like inside the waistband competition, or they compete from AIWB, or like people that do the
Yep.
defensive stuff, air quotes.
Yep.
They talk about like moving like you just got burned. I mean, are you looking for that explosive speed in and
Absolutely.
out of positions?
Absolutely.
So that's one thing in PRS. I see those guys kind of saunter on up. They throw
Yep.
the bag
Well,
down.
because they have time, right? And
Right.
so it's very akin. So anytime there is not a consequence for a man's behavior or actions, he will not change those actions, right? And so if you look at classically, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, it's not going to be a shock to anybody. Vast majority of law enforcement classes that I do, vast majority of citizen classes that I do, so they're not separated in this. There are very few people that have a zeroed rifle. Very few, like I would say 1%, maybe even less. Like it's very, very few. And the reason for that, so the way that I teach the coppers is I say, hey man, we're gonna confirm zero real quick. What I want you to do is I set up like a little piggy bank. It's a plastic jug. I'll find something, I'll cut it up, and that is our zero kitty. If you believe you can put 5 rounds into the 10 ring of a B8 at your zero distance, which is almost predominantly 50 yards, put $20 in the jug, and if you can do it, you win the pot. If you can't do it, you lose your money. And no one takes that bet ever, right? And the lesson in this is, if you wouldn't bet $20 on it, why are you betting society and their lives on it, right? Having a zeroed carbine is not a heavy lift. It That's not a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Um, and then we have to look at, why are their guns not zeroed. I don't just look at the data of what is. I also ask, why is it? um, the answer is, and you can ask them this, if you take that rifle and that rifle is zeroed 2.5 inches low and 2 inches left, can I pass your qual with that rifle? And they'll say, oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like, right, and that's bullshit, right? That you shouldn't be able to do that. But through the lowering of standards in the name of trying to recruit people and trying to get numbers up, and this and this and this, we've ended up with a world where it is inconsequential to have a zeroed or a non-zeroed gun, right? And so things like that, right, that are very easy to overcome. And we look at, like, why do the PRS dudes move slow? Because they've never had to move fast, right? They have
Yeah.
all the time in the world to set up for this shot and get it done. And that's not always the case, right? And I'm not
Right,
clowning
right.
PRS dudes. Like, they do some magical stuff with
Yeah, oh
projectiles at
yeah.
distance, right?
Yeah.
But like, they
Yeah.
typically have, like 90 seconds to fire
Yeah.
1 to 5 rounds, or
That's like
whatever.
a lifetime.
Yeah, and in my world, you've got 90 seconds to shoot these 8 pistol targets, clear the gun, get the gas gun up. You've got 12 rifle hits from 3 different positions. Like, you just don't have time, dude. You got to go. You know, um, and it's a whole different game. But I do think that, a little PRS experience would certainly benefit you. But I think that it's not going to carry you. Like, it's not enough.
Right,
Huh.
right.
Interesting.
Well, are you seeing a shift in the training scape? Because I know for a while, like you were saying, I mean, even when I was training, or when I started training, like, I guess a little over about a little over a decade ago. So not that long, not that long. But even then, I mean, there was a hard delineation between the tactical trainers and the gamers, like you were saying. And I mean, I've done the ECQC, and I've done like the tactical classes, but I've done competition based classes, like with not Frank Proctor, but so like those level of classes. And it seems like we're just now getting, at least in the last couple of years, where people are like, we just need to very quickly get bullets on target. And like we get dudes like Matt Pranka saying, hey,
Mhm.
it's just put bullets over here. I don't really
Yep.
care the application. Are you
Yep.
seeing a shift in law enforcement where it seems they're more accepting of people that are good at shooting?
100%, man. So practical shooting as a training strategy is sweeping law enforcement by nationwide by storm. And I think overall it's a net positive, right? I think there's some interesting things that are unintentionally happening that we didn't really plan for, that are, and they're not bad things. They're just things that, it's hard to see the future in hindsight, being 2020, and that kind of thing. There's an immaturity in understanding the difference between training and performing, and most of the time people's performance looks very similar to, if not identical to, their training. And I think that is the issue that I've been seeing, and it'll iron itself out eventually with most dudes. But like, for instance, if you take a brand new copper. He grew up in a house, never had guns in it. Mom and dad didn't shoot. He don't know nothing, right? And you send him to a department. He's an empty vessel, right? So he's going to do whatever he's told, because groupthink is real, and he don't know enough, nor does he have enough confidence to challenge anything he's being told, and so he just does whatever he's told. And so he's going to go to a place. They're going to be like, "Hey, man, practical shooting is the way. Got to do it." If you're not shooting, I had a cop tell me one time, if you're not shooting matches, you're negligent. And I was like, damn. I don't know if I go that far, but whatever.
Wow.
Um,
All right. I like the
and
energy.
so he's like, dude, I gotta go, I gotta bite. You know what I mean? I gotta get on this, right? I gotta be in the cool kids club. So he's gonna eventually he will find himself at his local USPSA club, right? Because he's not gonna sign up for a sectional or something crazy. He's just gonna go to the little local club. Based on what, remember, he doesn't know anything, and he has no maturity in the understanding of a lot of this stuff. And he's based on the logistics and the setup and the dimensions and everything of the local range. He will certainly find a match where the large majority of the stages he's presented with will be heavily weighted in favor of the speed of application, right? And so
Hmm.
A lot of little triple stacks, a lot of little short linear walls, lot of like the gun never stops going off, and everybody's
Yeah.
completing the stage in 9 seconds, and that or better, and
Yeah.
indoor ranges, things like that.
Not very
Um,
technical.
yeah, they're not very technical, and that's okay. There's a place for that, but if that's all you ever see, what's going to happen is he's going to see that he got all these alphas, and he, a couple Charlies and this and that and the other, and this dude beat him with two misses and a no shoot, and he's going to be like, what? Like, how does it, how? Because he doesn't understand hit factor math, he doesn't understand what's going
Yep.
on here, right? And eventually, he will learn that as long as he goes fast enough, right, that's a winning strategy, right? And so
Yeah.
then he'll start to do that, right? And again, as a training strategy, I agree that's a good thing, right? But as a performance strategy, you need to have an understanding of your skill set, what the shot requires, the throttle control required throughout, like all of the variables that come into a good competitor. And he'll start to go hair on fire fast, and he'll start to chunk a couple off target every now and then. He'll throw a couple of no shoots and whatnot. And then the worst thing I think that could happen will start to happen. He'll start to beat some people, right? And and
Uh,
and then
yeah.
and then he'll, based on what he's been told, right, like this is the way. So what I'm seeing is a lot of these dudes that are newer to this LE world and practical shooting combined is they've made oftentimes over throttling their default response to coming out of the holster, and they don't even realize they've done that, right? Like they throw a lot of misses, and they go, oh well, wait, hang on, let me try it again, right? Like that's
Mm,
their human pattern of behavior, right? Is I'm going to try, I'm going to go for broke, and I'm going to keep doing that until something sticks, and then when something sticks, I'm going to walk off and act like I actually did that, and I'm going to trick myself into
right.
thinking that I can do that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's
Interesting.
the interesting part that I'm trying to navigate now is to help dudes understand, like, there is a training strategy, but that training strategy is far and away separated from a performance application, right? Like they're different things. We are working ladder drills, we're working suicides, we're working, the tires. This ain't the
Mm,
NFL game, man, right? Like it's
right.
different. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so that's an interesting one to kind of mess about with. But aside from that, yeah, 100% they're on board with it. And those two categories that you talked about, like the tactics dudes that, comps are going to get you killed in the streets, and then the full blown gamers, those groups still exist.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
what's
for sure.
happening is the tactical dudes and the dudes that rely on like their legacy mindset talks and stuff like that, right? They're feeling the heat because they're realizing that, like, they can't do what those other gamer dudes are doing. And so that,
Yeah.
unless they discredit that as a training strategy, they're out of work, bro. Like they
Right.
can't do it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
point.
And so they're very hostile towards it. And I can tell you very, very simply the two camps in this industry. There's the legacy classical mindset based stuff where they're gonna like scream at you and like kick dirt on you and make your pistol stop working and holler, stay in the fight. People are dying, like that kind of crap, right? And then there's a whole nother group of dudes who are my boys, um, who are absolute rock stars at shooting, and we all think we suck. Like we do.
I
We
like
all think
that.
we
Yeah.
suck, and we're never happy, and we're not sure why anybody's paying us money, because like we feel like we mess up all the time.
Yeah.
Hmm,
So
Interesting.
um that's
Well, and
that's the two
that kind
camps.
of that's like a mindset thing though. That's a realistic understanding of what you're looking for. Like you can never be the best. I mean, there's always a bigger dick. There's always somebody else better than you.
Well,
It's
that's what's so fascinating about this sport, right? Is that there's no ceiling on it, and that
yeah.
I know how to do it perfectly, but I mess it up all the time.
Right.
Right. And so, and we're also kind of all crazy, right? Because we're constantly in pursuit of this perfection that we objectively acknowledge does not exist. Um,
Yeah.
Yet we act like maybe one more rep, and I'll be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
but that's how you make GM however many in
yeah,
months
yeah,
instead of years, right?
yeah. I guess it's understanding that the only thing I can control is my ability to. So I tell you how I think about the strategy of performance shooting, right? And this applies to the scope gas gun world. It applies to the two gun world, the USPSA world, whatever. What we're trying to do is operate at the limit of human function and interrupt that only by the necessary visual patience that the shot requires based on your skill set, right? Like that's what we're trying to do. Everything should be hair on fire except the shooting. The shooting should be as aggressive as we can do it correctly, right? Based on our skill set. So a lot of times you hear these, oh, just slow down, brother. Slow. No, you don't need to slow down. You need to do it right. You're not doing it right, right? So you're going more aggressively than you can do it correctly. That's the problem, right? You can't do it that aggressively. You don't have the skill
Right.
set for that yet. So you need to do it as aggressively as you can do it correctly. And anything where there's no shooting to be done, you need to try to be the world record holder at, right? Like the world record sprinter, the world record reloader, the world record reaction to the beat. Like that's what we should be striving to do. And so what can you control? You can control whether or not you've earned the right to expect reasonable expectations based on the work that you've put in. That's all you can do, right?
Right.
Like have you outworked everyone that you're about to go face? And if the answer is no, then why would you expect to beat them? Right?
Yeah.
So what do I need to do, Mark? You need to go get to work. That's what you need to do. That's it. It's not magic, dude. It's just like I outwork everybody else. That's all it is, right? I do crazy things like dry firing 2 hours a day for almost 2 months. Um, who does that? Crazy people. You know what I mean? Like nobody does it. And so
Yeah.
that's all it is. I tell students all the time, man. If you want to win, here's what you do: you pick out who you want to beat, and you say, what are they? What do you think they're doing in training, right? And you don't even have to be right. You just come up with something, right? And then you outwork them times three. Do 3 times the work they're doing, because then you'll show up to the match and you'll feel like you've earned the right to beat them, instead of showing up to the match and being like, well, I hope this goes all right. Well, let's see what happens. Like, no, I want you to show up and say, I know what's going to happen because I've put the money in the bank.
Yeah.
Watch, push
Yeah.
the button, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great mentality.
Yeah, people don't understand how big the mental side of shooting is, man. Like you've got to have the confidence. If the confidence is not there, like if I show up to a match and you show up to a match, if I think you can beat me and you also think you can beat me, I'm screwed, dude. Like I'm screwed, right? But if I
Yeah.
think I can beat you and you think you can beat me, now it comes down to who can run their mental program the most consistently without fail, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what we're measuring. We're not measuring who the best shooter is. A lot of people, it takes them a long time to realize that. We're measuring who the most consistent shooter is, right? People
Yeah.
don't lose because they
Okay.
suck at shooting. They lose because they fail more consistently than the dudes that win.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
have
So,
that's
continue,
good.
Kevin. I apologize.
I have a question. So you talk about these like hour sessions and 2 hour sessions of dry fire. Like, what is your dry fire session like consist of?
So I don't recommend doing that anymore. That's back when I didn't know
Well,
what I was doing, right? But I'll tell you, like I'm not a smart man, Kevin. I know what love is, right? But I do know
Jesus.
that if you will give 100% effort to damn near anything in life, the needle will move eventually. Something's going to happen, right? And so that's all I knew, right? And so I would come up here and I would have 3 targets, full size targets, set up on my barn wall over there. And I actually still have them on the ground over here. I've got markers at 10 yards, 15 yards, and 20 yards. And I would do just standard draws. I would do turn and draws. I would do draws 6 reload 6. I would do 6 reload 6 strong, 6 reload 6 other strong or weak if you're a pansy. I would do things like single hand draws, a lot of Burkett reloads, a lot of the things that I was going to be asked to do and measured on in the classifier, right? And I would do those things constantly, trying to push my body to gain another tenth of a second constantly, right? And so I got to where the standard draw was going to be at point 0.7 to the par every time, and that is dot is on target, finger is on trigger, ready to shoot. I don't pull the trigger on a dry fire draw. Um, I was doing turn and draws at about a point 0.8 pretty handily. Like I didn't have a lot of trouble with that. I was doing turn and draw 6 reload 6 and dry fire on full size targets at 10 yards in about 3 seconds was about the par. Now I wasn't shooting it that fast, but I was dry firing it that fast, trying to see that fast, trying to manipulate the gun that fast. And what I thought was, which I think is true, is like I want to make the training so ridiculous and like push myself to such incredible levels that the match seemed easy when they asked me to do a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where I developed the idea that like I started to talk to other dudes and what they were doing, and I still feel this way. Like these words are chosen with precision, man. Most people's training, if you truly want to level up, like most people's training is nowhere near hard enough, like nowhere near. Um, because of the human paradigm, right? The human nature. We want to set up a range. We want to set up a session that we bias in favor of our own things that we can already do,
Hmm.
and that way we feel good about what we can already do, right? And that's what I mean when I say the separation of training and performing. Like in my training, I fail about 90% of the things I try to do, right? Because I'm
Okay.
trying to do just ridiculous stuff, dude. Like I'm trying to do 50-yard bill drills with a red dot rifle on a headbox partial, and I'm trying to get that done in 3 seconds. You know what I mean? And it's like that's ridiculous. You'll never have to do that like that, but it can only make if you give me 10 seconds to do it free money. You know what I mean? Like easy dough.
Right.
You know?
So, do you feel that people when they're trading, I'm sorry, trading, they get complacent? Like they set up a training regimen and they get complacent on it,
1000% they do.
and they're afraid to push themselves because they don't want to fail. But what you're saying is do fail, because
Yes, you must.
then
You
when you come
must.
back to it, you're gonna be like that much better.
So here's what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna watch all the YouTube videos and I'm gonna go to all the seminars about jujitsu and I'm gonna be at least a brown belt by the time that's over with, yeah? Or is
Yeah.
that ridiculous? Right? Like that's like everybody knows that that's not going to work, right? Yet for whatever reason, we think in shooting, if only we have the right information, the right gear, or the right class, all of our problems will go away, right?
Mm.
And that's a lie from the devil, dude. It's not real, right? Like this is a human performance sport. You have to train it in order to be good at it, right? Um, and most people like they'll say, "Hey, Mark, I'm trying to get a sub 1 second draw," and I'm like, "All right, well let me watch you dry fire," and they'll like draw the pistol real high and pause, and they'll nice breath, you know, and they'll press it out, and then
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
ease through the trigger, and I'm like, "Dude, that looks nothing like what you're telling me that you want to be able to do."
yeah.
And they're like,
Right.
"Well, yeah, it's because I can't do it." And I'm like, "And you never will if you don't try to pull that weight, dude." Like if you like what most people do is they say, "I want to deadlift 500 pounds." My training plan is I'm going to rep 55 over and over and over again, and I'll get there one day.
Right.
And no, that's not the way it works. You have to try to pull weight that you can't pull, and you have to fail, and then you have to figure out how to get stronger.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder if people that do stuff like that. I wonder if they set the bar like there so they can never achieve it, so they can tell people they're always like trying to achieve it.
Maybe. I think
But I don't
I
know.
think that most people, and this is not a knock at dudes, right? Like this is not
Yeah.
intended to disparage anyone. Most dudes want to talk about training. They want to watch videos about training. They want to post videos about training, but very, very few people actually want to train. Very few. Like
Yeah.
for real. Like when it
Yeah.
sucks, when you don't want to do it, when it's hard, when you would
Yep.
rather sit here and watch basketball, like like most people
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
Yeah. You're out there sweating your ass off, hot as
Yep.
hell, fucking
Yep.
just barely gripping the gun. You're just like, this fucking sucks.
Dude, when I won like I know myself and I know my mental processes and what I have to like if I don't do the work, it's detrimental to my mental state on match day. Like I have to do the work or I won't feel like I've earned the right to do this. And so I decided I wanted to win the Tactical Sniper Series championship. It's a two-gun DM, championship match. It's got 100 people are going to be there, that kind of thing. And the southeast is where the heat is for the scope gas gun. And so I
Yes, sir.
knew like I've got to outwork these dudes. And so I decided that match was I think November 6th or so last year. And I said I'm gonna dry fire for 15 minutes a day every single day for the entire month of October, like the whole month. Never gonna miss a day. And I wrote it on every single day on the calendar was scope rifle day, right? Had a red dot destructor course I was teaching out in San Francisco on the pistol, and I took my scope gas gun with me, and I stayed after class was over every day, and I did the work, right? And like how, and I'm not that's not to brush my hair or to make me sound, but it's just to be honest. Like, how many of those other competitors do you think would be willing to go the distance like that to make sure they did the work? Right? Most people just aren't going to do that. And so again, it's crazy sometimes. Like you got to do crazy stuff sometimes, based on the obsession. Like that's all it is. And I went and I won that match by 10%. You know what I mean? Not because I'm special, but because nobody else is doing that.
Jeez. Right on.
Well, so where does that line? We talk about sticking sticking guns in our pants to protect our family and protect our well being. Where does your training? I mean, how much are you allotting for concealed carry work versus USPSA or gas gun or stuff like? I mean, is there really a line, or is it just pulling triggers is pulling
So
triggers?
I have never met anyone who was really fast out of an open top gamer rig that was very slow out of an appendix rig. I've never seen that person, right? So I think that once you train to be very fast, you're going to be very fast with almost any condition I can put you in, right?
Right.
So the consistency is valued far more than the volume. So every day, I do at least 5 to 10 dry fire presentations as soon as I put the gun on, right? That happens every day, every morning. Typically, while everybody's still asleep, I'll go in there, make a coffee, and while the coffee's brewing and whatnot, I'll do the little dry fire presentation piece. Every now and then, I'll add in one of the wife's planters and another like a toaster, and I'll do a couple of transitional pieces and whatnot, and mess around with that. Um, but it takes it's never more than about 3 minutes, right? It's just about 3 minutes of intentional focus work. There's no TV on, there's no radio going. It's very meditative, like in nature. Like I'm
Mm,
very, very
mm.
focused on what's happening. Very, very aware of what I'm feeling, and things like that. And that's the extent of what I do. Um, as far as like how much do people need to be training what they're doing as much as they would like to be good at it, right? Like so y- and this is where like this crazy idea that like competition shooting is not directly transferable, like that it comes from a level of misunderstanding, I think, that's rooted in immaturity in the sport. You'll never find anyone that is a grandmaster level shooter in USPSA who doesn't scare you from appendix with a SIG 365. Like that
Yeah.
dude's still pretty dangerous, bro. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. Like, and I don't think anyone would ever argue the logic that like a guy do you think a UFC fighter that's fighting in a game is just going to get his ass whipped in a bar fight?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense, right?
And then does that translate to like gun selection in terms of when you're on like match day versus what you're carrying, or is it a platform's a platform?
For no, I mean I think so, so if I had the aspiration, if I got a wild hair one day and I said, "Hey man, I want to go, win USPSA Carry Optics Nationals." I probably wouldn't do that with the current pistol that I'm choosing to shoot, because it's not that it can't be done, right? It's just that I am a gamer. And so I want every little edge that I can get. And like nobody's going to argue that a Shadow 2 is easier to shoot than a Glock 47. Like it just is, right? Now that doesn't mean if you buy a Shadow 2, you're going to be good at shooting. But it means that if you take Jeff Gordon and you say, "Hey man, you want the souped up, race car, or you want the Toyota Camry?" Like he's going to be like, I'll probably go with the race car. And so I personally, for almost everything I do, I use a Glock 47. My carry gun is a Glock 19 or a Glock 48, depending on what I'm doing. Every now and then a Glock 17, old 17 Gen 5 that I got Ben at Boresight Solutions to fix up for me. It's kind of like I call it my barbecue gun. I mean, it's beat up, but it's still a real nice pistol. I
Yeah.
carry it to the barbecue
Yeah.
and stuff, that kind of thing.
Nice. Those BSG guns are nice.
Yeah, yeah. And but yeah, other than that, I'm a Glock dude. I've shot SIGs, I've shot CZs, I've shot Smith and Wessons, I've shot 2011s, and I came back to Glocks just for the ecosystem of it. Like I can go
Yeah.
anywhere in America and I can find parts for this thing. Somebody's got a backup gun for me. And as unfortunate as it might be, if I show up with some souped out, or souped up, tricked out, gun, there's always going to be some coppers that are like, "Well, yeah, he's got that pistol." And so it's
Yeah.
like, "All right, dude, I'll just
Yeah.
use what y'all use then." Uh,
Right.
that's why it's just easy, and they don't. That girl, she'll take a beating, and she don't ask for much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't got a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel
so
I was gonna say,
sorry.
sorry. I was gonna say that really kind of solidifies your like mentality, your whole training. Like, you're going out there with Glocks, and you know, it's not the gun, it's you, it's the training.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, this stuff is super simple, right? Like point the metal straw at the thing, pull the little lever thing without moving the metal straw. That's all you've got to do, right?
Right.
Now, in concept, it's significantly more simple than in application. However, that is it, right? And so if I give you any gun and you can't accomplish that basic principle, it's not going to work out for you.
Right. Well, so in terms of like newer shooters or people trying to get into it, how much are you concerned with what like platform they're choosing? Is it just if it feels good in your hand, just pull the trigger and
Um,
practice with it?
No, I think that most people that don't know what they're doing, they don't know what feels good in their hand because they have no idea what they're talking about, right?
That's fair.
Um, and also comfort, somehow comfort has become a metric of performance. And I don't know where that happened, but like comfort is used for the assessment of mattresses and tennis shoes, not pistols, right?
Yeah.
Not it's not for performance shooting. Like, and there's also nothing like talking about how natural it points or how natural something is. Um, Sin and damnation is natural, right? We should strive to do things that are not natural. And if shooting well were natural, my job wouldn't exist, right? Because everybody would just
Yeah.
be good at it already. You know what I mean? So the vast majority of people, they don't even know what they need because they have no scope of reference, right?
Right.
And so what I encourage everybody to do, like if you don't know what you're doing, if you want a gun you can train with and a gun that you can carry, Glock 19, Smith and Wesson with a 4.25 inch barrel, M&P, right? Something like that.
Mm,
Something where you're not going to waste money. You can buy this thing. It's not a heavy lift for a buy-in, right? And
right.
you can get pretty much as good as you want to be able to get with this. And it's also not going to require you to be a gunsmith to have to clean the damn thing. You know what I mean? And keep it lubed up and ready to go. You'll find the ecosystem to be very budget friendly, right? Magazines are cheap. Vast majority of dots that people are choosing these days are cheap. If you want to go down the dot route, holster costs you 125 bucks, whatever, and you're in the game. That's it, right?
Right.
I highly recommend against spending over $1,000 for your first gun. Highly recommend against that
Yeah.
because I
Right.
guarantee you that is not going to be the last gun you buy, and it's probably not going to be the gun that's going to be with you the rest of your life, right? Unless you buy something that is very utilitarian that has an application for any application, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
and
Well,
that,
well said.
does that translate into rifles? Because I mean, that's a little bit different of a game, and I know people, especially in today's market, people are concerned about the dollar more than ever. I mean,
yep, yep,
as inflation goes, but building versus buying. I mean, where are you now? This is with a more well-rounded, competent shooter. Like, say, I'm trying to
mhm,
get into gas gun stuff. Like,
yeah.
how? I mean, turnkey Daniel Defense or like Sons of Liberty or something like that, or
I would push dudes towards a factory purchase simply because, like, dude, I learned a long time ago, right? I ain't a gunsmith. I'm just a marksmith. That's my dad joke for the episode, right?
Love it.
But and there's this idea out there that these guns are just adult Legos and you can just slap them together and whatever. But the problem is if you look at the dude who always says that, my question becomes how often are you shooting that gun that you just slapped together?
yeah,
Like, do you even know if it works or does it just rack and load around and that's all you know? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or you went out in the back 40, dumped a magazine's worth, and now you're on the internet on Reddit telling everybody what they should do after 30 rounds of experience. You know what I mean? It's like that's ridiculous. I'm not anti building guns. I'm anti building guns when you don't know what you're doing, right? Like
yeah,
you shouldn't be watching a YouTube video to help you build a tool that you may save your family's life with. Like that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like let the dudes that do this professionally do it. And then now look, if it goes awry and you know so the gun doesn't work, now if you built it yourself, who do you call? You know what I mean? Like you're screwed, right? I guess go to MT6 on Facebook and see if anybody in there's got some answers. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows.
right, yeah,
Whereas you could get something from a reputable manufacturer, right? Hodge Defense, Sons of Liberty, BCM, Psionics. There's so many options now. I don't really know why you would build something, outside of
right.
some weird niche thing you're trying to do. Like there's plenty of options.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of that, so we talked about guns. Now, in terms of glass, like we're looking LPVO. Where are you drawing the line for serious use for glass for LPVO, I mean MPVO, whatever you want to call it. I mean, where are you drawing that line?
Major manufacturers. So like and I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Like the majority of the manufacturers that you see sponsored advertisements by, right? That you see top level shooters using, that you see the advertisements on Facebook that pop up. So I'm thinking like Loophole, Steiner, Vortex, Collis, like dudes that have been doing this, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the company that started 2 years ago that has found the magic recipe for a $250 LPVO that's just as good as everything else, right? Like, there
Yeah.
ain't no free lunch, dude. So, um, can you get a cheap scope? Certainly, but you will be getting a cheap scope, right? Like you need to understand that. Um, can I get a cheap car? Yes, but you should not ask or expect that car to do what other cars that are not cheap cars can do, right? And so if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I think what a lot of dudes are trying to do is they're trying to find this one, like I get hit up more than probably any other question. If you could only have one rifle, well, this is America, and that's not even a real question, right? So
That's
like
not a
that,
question for me.
it's not, and so what they want me to do is flip this toggle switch that solves all the problems they may ever have with this one solution, and it's not real,
Yeah.
right? So like, hey Mark, I noticed you use red dots and magnifiers. Do you think LPVOs are stupid? And it's like, who said that, dude? I got a safe full of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything has it's a tool, right? So like Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, very similar but different. You know what I mean? Similar in application, similar in concept, similar in design, similar in build, but different application. You know, and so what are you trying to do with the gun? What is the goal? What are you trying to do with the gun? Do I need a scope? Well, do you need to see what you already cannot see with your two eyeballs? Would be the first question. What do you need to see that you can't see with your two eyes? Right, and understand that need to see is a very different statement than would like to see, right? Um, we back up dudes to 50 yards in class all the time on our feet on USPSA targets, and there's always someone that's going to be like, Mark, I can't see the A zone. And it's like, yeah, but do you know where it is? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's in the middle of that thing that you've been shooting all day. So shoot the middle of that thing and you'll shoot the A
Right.
zone,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so like B8, do I need to see the X ring, or do I just need to see the dot in the middle of that black circle with concentricity around it? Right? Again, like what do we need to see? And that'll kind of answer the question for you, right? And also recognize magnification makes you see a little bit better, don't make you shoot better, right? So
Right.
more
Yeah.
magnification does not equal more better. It's actually quite the inverse most of the time. Um, so it's an interesting thing. Everybody wants this one gun that can do everything they might ever need it to do, and it ends up being this 20-pound paperweight that they don't shoot anyway because they don't like to shoot it because it's heavy and it's bulky and it
Right.
sucks and it gets hot,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's like, dude, you
Yep.
kind of just get a BCM 14.5 gun, throw a dot and a light on it, and go train, dude. That's what
Right.
you like. That
Exactly.
dude is going to be far and away more prepared for anything than the dude that's got all the crap on his gun.
Yeah.
Love it.
Interesting. Well, so in terms of talking about real quick, just reversing back to dry fire, you talk about, I mean, having the lion's share, or maybe not the lion's share, but a lot of time dedicated to dry fire. Where are you pushing the live fire? Is that where you're pushing the wheels for those to come off, or is that more validation for what you're practicing?
So in the dry fire piece, again, when I was talking to Kevin, I talked about back in the day, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going to try really hard. I don't think that hours of dry fire a day are what people need to be doing, right? So I've learned that I value the consistency far more than I value the volume, right? So I would rather you do 5 minutes a day of something than 3 hours on a Thursday once a week, right? Because I think the consistency is what
Right.
builds the repetitive nature of being able to do the thing.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
about this because I can put you in a plumbing truck for 2 weeks where I'm working you for 2 hours a day, right? So that's 20 total hours in 2 weeks. And by the end of that 2 weeks, you will be able to install a toilet and a sink. I guarantee you, right? I can show you how to do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Or I can put you in a 30-hour segmented out through the course of 1 week seminar on plumbing, right? But I think the hands-on nature of doing the thing every day, over and over
Repeated
and over,
exposure.
you'll be better by the end of that, right?
Yep.
Right.
And so I think that should be the way. As far as the live fire, so I try to reserve the live fire range for what I need the live fire range for, right? So what do I need the live fire range for? I need it to test, proof, validate concepts, theories, ideas, right? And I need it to remind myself that the gun moves, right? I need to remind myself this is what the gun does when I pull the trigger, right? Outside of that, most people's failures are not coming from the fact that they don't shoot often enough. They're coming from the fact that they don't shoot correctly when they shoot, right? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to assess what they're doing. And therefore, in the dry fire, they don't know how to assess whether or not they're doing it correctly, what they need to do. So my grip falls apart. Like, what do I need to do? Like they don't know. And so they just go to the dry fire dojo and they just hold the pistol. They don't grip the pistol, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then they spend all this time and they call me and they say, "Hey, Mark, my dry fire times aren't being replicated in live fire." And it's like, yeah, because you're not doing the same thing that you're doing in live fire. You're doing something totally different, right? I can spend all the time in the world riding a bicycle, but if you put me on a four wheeler, that ain't the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of dudes are doing this. Um, the live fire range for me, man, I'm probably collectively per week, training maybe 2 hours, maybe, you which is going to be somewhere around 300 rounds or so. It's not a lot. I'm very deliberate about the rounds I shoot. I'm very methodical about the rounds I shoot, meditative like with what I do. So
Right.
in 2 hours, I'll knock out 200, 250 rounds, 300 rounds, something like that, and that'll give me homework to dry fire on until I see myself out here again next week, kind of thing.
Yeah. That was one thing specifically with the grip I started noticing was I was just kind of I had the gun in my hands. I had my hands where they needed to be.
Hmm.
And I started because after we had my son, I couldn't go out to the range. We were in the
Hmm.
house like for effectively like
Yep.
3 months in a row.
Yep.
And I was gripping the gun, and
She's
then
got to have somebody to be mad at when the baby's crying. So you got to stay
that's
there.
exactly right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So I would present the gun, and I heard something online was like, listen, you need to be gripping the hell out of the gun like it's gonna be moving. Otherwise, when it does start moving, you're not like it
Mhm.
doesn't translate. Like if you don't
Yep.
do it here, it's not gonna go there.
You have to rep consciously the skill set that you would like to be able to rep subconsciously. Like
Mm.
that has to be a thing, right? So like, how do I work on my grip in dry fire? Well, you work on just your grip in dry fire, right? So you pick out a light switch and you say, okay, I'm going to do a build drill on this light switch. And I've been out to the live fire range and I've explored through doubles, build drills, things like that. The feeling in my hands and what I'm trying to do when it goes well, right? And I'm going to replicate that feeling in dry fire for 6 shots. And that's all I care about at the end of those 6 shots is, do my hands feel the same at the end as they did at the beginning? And then I'm going to do that again over and over and over and over 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. Right. I guarantee you, if you'll do 3 to 5 minutes of that for about 7 days, it'll start to translate. Right.
Yeah.
But you have to train the brain what you want it to do.
Right.
So
Are you like smashing the hell out of the trigger? I mean, are you
Mm.
over exaggerating a lot of your trigger presses in dry to try to get the gun to move as much as possible so that you don't move it in
So,
terms of exaggerated inputs?
old man
mm,
underpants, right? It depends. Um, if I am training trigger presses, I am almost certainly doing them um, as aggressively as I can, right? Almost certainly. So I'll rack the gun, aim it at a light switch, or I tell you what I've been doing lately that's been real interesting. I've noticed that the majority of the failures that I have at speed, at distance, are windage based failures, not elevation, right? So I'm missing left or right. I'm not missing low or high. And so
Like
I've started
overdriving?
doing, no, just on a single target, right? So think 25-yard
Okay.
build drills.
Yeah.
When I'm doing 25-yard build drills, I'm trying to get 6 rounds out of the gun in less than 3 seconds, right?
Right.
From the draw.
Right.
So that's pretty aggressive. That's a lot of smashing on the trigger. I ain't
Yeah.
got time to be prep and stuff like that. And all of the misses that I have are either, close Charlie's left or close Charlie's right. And so what I've started doing is I've gone to my bedroom where the bedroom door closes and the hinge is, and I've tried to do like trigger control at speed. Like when the buzzer goes off, I'm smashing the trigger and I'm trying to keep it from coming off of that hinge, right? I'm trying to
Yeah.
I'm working more linear up and down, trying to let that be the target as opposed to some big wide available area. And
Aim
that's
small,
been
miss
pretty
small.
interesting. But yeah, I'm almost certainly smashing the piss out of it. The idea being, if if I can learn to do that, anything but that I can choose to do, right? So if I can run a 4-second 40-yard dash, I know I can run an 8-second one. right? I just got to choose to be more deliberate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being deliberate is a decision, not a skill set, right? Being fast is a skill set. You need to train the skill set and understand when to choose the deliberacy of what the shot requires.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I have a question.
I'm ready.
But of course.
But of course. So a lot of people talk about cold fire versus warmed up fire. So like when you get to the
Full
range and you
performance.
cold performance. So when you get to the range and you run that bill drill for the first time, like do you take that as you take notes on that to then correct and then you just move through it or
So I personally don't believe in cold or warm. Now, I think that if you believe it's real, then it is, right?
okay.
That's more mental than anything. It's very interesting. I've had a lot of data points on this over the years where I would show up and I would track a six reload six. First thing that I would do, I'd run a six reload six at 15 yards. I would track the hit factor on that. And what I found was after about 6 months of doing that, is that I got my worst run and I've got my PR run all on cold starts, right? And so I didn't find any pattern in it whatsoever. I found no pattern in what I could do initially to what I could do at the end of the day. It was all very, very similar in nature. And then also on the student side of the house, I have students sometimes I'll have them shoot something and they'll be like, oh, that they'll shoot like a bunch of assholes and they'll be like, well, I wasn't warmed up. And I'm like, well, are you warmed up now? And they're like, yeah. And then they'll shoot like assholes again, right? And it's like, okay, so like how warm is warm? Like when do we
Gotcha.
get warm? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Now you're just a warm asshole.
Yeah, like I don't know. So for me, it's not really a thing. I I really do believe more than most that like if you believe it's a thing, then it is. You know what I mean? And so
Okay.
one of the things that I did back in the day, I used to believe that, and so I used to crap the bed on the first stage of every match, right? That was kind of my thing, and then I would shoot great after that. And so what I started to do in training is my live fire. I would set up a little stage, like 4 or 5 paper, 2 steel, something like that, in some different positions, and I shot it one time, and I put the gun up, and I went back home. That was all I did that day, right? And so I started to give myself, you get one chance to do this, and I would also, to give you some more neat little ideas, I would cover the targets with shot up pieces of paper, like shot up silhouettes. So shot up on the front, cleans on the back. And I would come
Mm.
up with a goal, right? So I'm going to run this course of fire. I'm not going to allow any more than 2 Charlies, right? And I would run it. I would check my work first to make sure I did that. And if I did it, I would reward myself by giving myself the opportunity to look at the timer. If I did not accomplish the task, I would clear the timer immediately because it doesn't matter how fast I did it. I didn't do it.
Right.
And I
It's a
would take
fail.
all of it down and I'd go home, right? And so every time I touched the gun for live fire, it was the one run, it was the one show, right? And so I got to where I was used to that. And so the first stage of a match, this is what I do all the time. Like I've been doing this, so just shoot. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was a very, very different mind shift over the course of time.
I got you. So you're kind of just taking out
I
that whole
tricked my brain. Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking the colon and it doesn't
Fucking
matter.
brilliant.
It's just
I
Dude,
love
it's
that.
it's
yeah.
it's like people
I'll,
don't realize how big what they believe is real, right? Like if you and it's because of the visualization, right? It's because of how like if you want something, you should speak about it, write about it, talk about it, right?
Right.
Sorry, speak about it, write about it, think about it. Whatever you speak, you visualize. Whatever you write, you visualize. Whatever you think, you visualize. Well, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagined reality and actual reality. It only knows what you feed it, right? And it doesn't know the difference between equal and opposite words. So, like can, can't, do, don't, will, won't. It doesn't know any of that. It just knows this visualization. So, whatever you give it, it's about to give you, right? Because that's what it's like. That's what he wants. Let's give him that, right? So, like, think of the visualization that you see in your head when I say, don't shoot the no shoot, right? And you see how you just plugged it twice, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so people are talking about what they don't want. Therefore, they're visualizing it, they're putting it in their brain, and their brain's trying to put it back out. That's all that is, right? So instead of thinking and talking and writing about what you don't want, right, or what happened, write about what you do want or what the solution is to what happened, right? Winners focus on what they need to do. Losers whine about what happened, right?
Right.
Um, when you know what you need to do and you know what the correction is, that hits so much different in the brain than, well, I guess I suck. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like a
yeah.
verdict, right? Whereas the
Right.
correction sounds like a plant.
Right.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I think, man. I think a lot of dudes, like, if you show me a dude that gets up to a line and goes, "Well, I'm as ready as I'll ever be," "Are you ready?" "Well, we'll see." He's gonna shit the bed, dude. I guarantee it. He just told me. He just
Right.
told me what he believes is about to happen. You show me a guy that shows up and goes, "I hope I don't hit that no shoot. I always hit that no shoot." If they just get rid of the no shoots, I'd shoot really good. My God, all these no shoot, dude. I got $100 bills. I'll take all comers. That dude's getting ready to hit a no shoot, right?
Yeah.
Um, and he always will, right? Because he believes he will.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
And that's its own obstacle, is being the master of your own brain. Is figuring out
Dude,
how to program it, right?
it is the on switch for on-demand performance that dudes have not yet figured out the power of, right? Like, it sounds, because it sounds like, to a bunch of A-type like alpha type dudes, like, it sounds like hocus pocus bullshit is what it sounds like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's like my logic, like on iRobot, right? My logic is undeniable. My question is, how has what you've been doing worked out for you, right?
Right.
And if the answer
Thank
is
you,
it
Vicky.
hasn't, why don't you try something, right? Just try it. Worst case scenario, nothing changes and you still suck, right? Like, what's the problem, And so, change how you think about what you're doing, change how you strategize what you're going to do, change how you report to yourself what just happened, right? Most dudes, they'll shoot. Dude, you can show me a guy that'll shoot a 2.79 bill drill from 25 yards and have 5 alpha, 1 Charlie, which is incredible, right? And he'll walk up and he'll talk about the Charlie. And it's like, dude, stop crapping all over what just happened. What just happened was an incredible feat of human performance, and you're immediately killing it, right? Look at how
yeah.
like look how often it went right before you look at what you need to do, right? Outside of
Right.
that one shot, you were perfect based on what the scoring requirement was, right? So if you
How
can correct that
how
one little problem, you're perfect.
how are you balancing that? I mean, just keeping yourself honest with things and being positive, and that's obviously a massive part of this. That's something Kevin knows I struggle with.
a realistic positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
K-
you have to look at, like, most dudes are full of negative self-talk, right? So to rob from Steve Anderson. If you don't know about Steve Anderson, Laney Basham was one of the kind of the godfathers of the sports psychology applied to the shooting sports. He wrote a book called With Winning in Mind. It's a fantastic read if you've never read it. His kind of protege was Steve Anderson. Steve Anderson is credited on my behalf with the reason that I did make GM, because he showed me how to do it. I did it. He showed me how. He gave me the blueprint. I built the house. I called him and for one of those mental management calls, and it felt really stupid, but whatever. I'm going to do it anyway because I had no rock that was left unturned. Right. I could do GM level stuff out in the backyard as long as nobody was watching and as long as no video cameras were rolling. Right. But I couldn't do it at the match, and it pissed
Yep.
me off. And so I called him. You had to pay, right, to have this conversation. So I paid the thing and I called him, and he answered the phone. I remember thinking how bold he was. He said, "Tell me where you are and tell me where you want to go, and I'll take you there." And I remember thinking, "Damn, all right,"
Wow.
And so I just started talking, and I got done about 10 minutes later, and he said, "Son, you have a massive self-image problem." And I remember thinking, this man's an idiot. I love me. Nobody loves me more than me. He has no idea what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he expounded upon it, and he said everything that you just told me for the past 10 minutes was in the negative context. Everything, right? And you used words like always and all the time, the entire time. I always screw up at the match. I always miss a reload. I always flub the draw. I hit a no shoot all the time. And so he said, what you're doing is every time you say, speak, write, any of that, you're taking a penny and you're putting it in a wheelbarrow, and you're carrying that wheelbarrow full of pennies around with you everywhere you go. Right. And that is your self image's expectation of what is about to happen. Right. Because it's all you ever acknowledge. What I want you to do is start swapping those out for quarters, and quarters are positive thoughts because they're worth that much more. And you can imagine it's going to take a little bit of time to change out a penny for a quarter and fill a wheelbarrow up with more quarters than pennies, right? But you got to start somewhere. And I remember thinking, dude, this is so stupid. And I called him multiple times as I was doing this. I was doing performance journals and things like that, and I would call him and I would say, Steve, it feels, when I say this, it feels like I'm lying. Like, it sets off my BS detector, right? And
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
he's like, lie until you believe it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, right." And I just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And eventually, something happened where I believed that I was about to shoot really great because I knew how to do it and I did it all the time because that's all I ever talked about was how awesome it was every time I did it. Right. So like now you can watch me in training do a turn and draw El Pres and miss every single shot. And I'm gonna talk to you about how fast and bitching that turn and draw was. Right.
Yeah.
Because I know how to fix that other stuff, but I want to give credit to the work that I've done and the process I've used to get here. Like I'm doing good, dude. That turn and draw was bitching. I just need a little more visual patience on the targets. I can fix that. Right. And like
Yeah.
that feels so much different than crap. I suck again. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that, dude,
Yeah.
that is, in my opinion, that is the vast majority of dudes that are M class, A class, B class, and they can't be consistent enough to make the jump. That's what it is. It's not that you don't have enough one reload ones for God's sakes. When's the last time you failed to accomplish your goals because you flubbed a reload at every stage? Like that's not what's
Yeah.
happening. It's that you don't believe you will win, and so you don't. That's all. It's that simple, right? But
Yeah.
I will not sit here and say that it's easy. It's very difficult to do that because everything in our world is self-critical. Everything,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so we're taught from a very early age, like you suck, you need to do better, right? You suck, you need to do better. You're not there yet. You need to do better. And so we never get an opportunity to say, "Hey, man, I'm winning. I'm doing pretty good. This is awesome." You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty good at this. I'm one of the matter of fact, I'm one of the best at this. You know what I mean? And most people they won't say that to themselves because the world tells them if you say that, you're just cocky, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you can be a cocky winner or a humble loser, bro. So pick one. Which one do you want to be?
True.
Right?
Well,
Just
that's
saying,
something
you know.
I struggle with is being kind to myself or giving myself grace because I mean, I do certain things pretty well, but I cannot get off of, well, I didn't do that, so the rest of it is moot. Like and none of that matters.
The coppers are the worst at that, right? They
Yeah.
nitpick and they criticize every single little thing they do, man. And it's like, dude, like tell me all about all the things you do in your human body that are perfect, right?
Right.
So then why are you coming to the range with this expectation of perfection that is unreasonable, right? It's
Mm.
unreasonable to think that you're going to shoot a gun perfectly. That's not a thing because if you do shoot it perfectly, you should have went faster, right? So
Right,
there's
right,
never
right.
there's never a perfect on this, right? And if you look at
Yeah.
here's an interesting thing for you to dwell on. If you look back in all of the USPSA, just to take that as an example, all the USPSA championships or the PRS championships or whatever, right? Find me all the champions in every division for the last 10 years, and you find me one of them that shot a perfect match with no misses, no no shoots, no nothing. They don't exist, right? And
Mm.
so these are the best shooters in the world, objectively, not Mark's opinion, right? And they're missing. So who are you to deserve to never have a problem, right? And
Right.
like we're
Yep.
going about this the wrong way. We're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to reduce the frequency of failure. That's what we're trying to do. But failure is never going to go
Yeah.
away. It's always going to be there. As long as
Right,
we're in this
right.
human body in this condemned fallen world, right? It's never going to go away.
Amen. Yeah.
So let's reduce the frequency that it happens. That's the best we can do.
So I've seen like guys like Ben Steger talking about if your group looks about like that, then you're not going fast enough. Is that kind of like the same kind of expectation there is like, hey, you could be doing it better?
I mean, so again, depends, right? But like, if you're,
Mm.
what are you training to do? So, like, if you're training to go fast and you have shots that look like a golf ball size hole, I, I don't believe you, right? That's not what you're
Yeah.
training to do. You're training to
Yeah.
prove to yourself that you can still do what you already know you can do, right? Because when
Yeah.
you're training to go fast, you accuracy. This is not Mark's opinion. This is logic. Which one do you want today, speed or accuracy in the training, right? And so unless you're training execution mode, you got to pick one. And if you want speed, accuracy must take a back seat. It has to, right? Because you can't do it as fast and maintain the same points or you would already be doing that, right? So you have to let accuracy take a back seat. So you strategize the training environment to protect the self-image and build the self-image and you say, okay, what is
Mm.
the goal? The goal is I want to do this thing faster than I've ever done it before. Cool, then all the scoring zones go away, just put them on brown. The whole target scores the same, three gun rules, right? um and dudes will find another gear, right? I have dudes that call me and they say, "Hey, Mark, I want to do a sub 1 second draw and or some whatever," and I'm like, "All right, man, tell me about the dry fire dojo." Well, I got a 1/32 size silhouette, on my wall, and I'm standing 25 feet from it. It's like, my brother in Christ, you're trying to do something incredible on a 200-yard visual, for God's sakes, right? Probably not the
Right.
environment to find speed in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go in there and stand 3 yards away from your refrigerator, and the whole refrigerator is an A zone, right? It's just a big giant one, right?
Yeah.
They always find a tenth of a second. Always.
Yeah.
Right. So before you expect the body to do it faster than you've ever done it and hit, you have to show the body what it feels like to do it faster than you've ever done it. Right. And what
Okay.
happens is that nobody talks about, or that nobody has the patience to wait on. The accuracy never stays gone. It always comes back. Right. It always comes back. It's going to get better and better and better and better as long as you don't slow down. You have to stay at that same pace. But that's what I mean when I say you have to understand the difference between that as a training strategy versus not the Walmart parking lot strategy, right? We can't do that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
Contextualizing.
that is the training that, or information that I provide, is the understanding of how to train. Like, here's how you should be doing this, right? Versus what you've been doing, which has not been working.
Interesting.
I have a
Man.
question. So, like, let's say I'm a new shooter.
You
I'm
are the
getting-
host, by the way.
Yeah, but if I don't say that, you'll just ramble on, and
That's
I feel
okay.
like I don't.
That's
I don't
fair.
like.
That's
I don't
totally
like
fair.
interrupting you.
I'm
So,
sorry.
like, if I'm like a new shooter, I have a gun, and I get, let's say over the course of a year, I get really comfortable with it. I'm blasted out, say 7 yards, 10 yards, blasted out, fucking doing everything right. Does it behoove me to then push myself to do like 25, 50 to get the same performance, or is it better just to train to do different metrics at 10? Like, let's say I'm
No, I hear you. So in class, one of the things that we do is we do doubles and we do build drills with a pistol at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35 yards. And when we hit the 30-yard line, everybody just starts shitting the bed. Like, especially if they haven't yet. Normally when we hit the 15-yard line, people start kind of, because of the visual threshold that happens at 12. I'm rambling.
yeah.
I'll ask dudes, hey man, and this goes into the mental space, right? True or false? The majority of the worst shooting I do happens at 25 yards. And dudes would be like, yep. And I'm like, cool. Also, true or false? I go beyond 25 yards on a regular basis, right? And most people are like, no, I never do, right? It's like, okay, so what you've done is you've pigeonholed yourself into, I get my worst shooting at 25. I acknowledge that it is my worst shooting at 25. Now I expect my worst shooting at 25, and I'd be damned if I don't get it, right? You want to learn to shoot good at 25? Shoot a pistol at 40 yards a little bit every now and then. And you'll be begging
Right.
baby Jesus for a 25-yard line, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm very, very against doing what's comfortable. I'm against anything that makes you feel really good, right? I think good training should put you at about a simmer on the mental anger scale, right?
Yeah.
Like, like
Okay.
you're not just like
Be
flipping out,
frustrated.
ready to start your own pistol, sell everything, and go sell insurance or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
but you're certainly not happy with what just happened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once we're done with that, I'll say, hey man, does anybody feel like they just got worse at 7 yards away? Right? Or did we just get even better at 7 yards because we forced ourselves into a whole nother realm that's even more challenging than that? And now we get to 7 yards, dude, I can do all kinds of stuff I couldn't do earlier because I've now been trying to do those same things at 30 yards, you know?
Right.
And the refinement and the awareness and the details that are required at that yard line will only draw you in even closer to the center at 7, you know? And so it's not a scenario, right? Like, we're not doing this at 40 yards because we will, right? Now, never say never, right? But we're doing this at 40 yards because it is inoculation. It's over speed training. It's over developing the hard skills, right? It's like, hey, Kevin says he wants to run a 4.5 second 40-yard dash, but he's at a 5 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie his ass to a side by side. I'm going to pull him at a 4 second, right? I'm going to show his body what it feels like to do that, right? Now I'll be doggone. All of a sudden he's a 4.8. You know what I mean? But people never show themselves that, because when they do, you might slip, trip, and fall, and I might drag you for about 5 yards before I get it stopped. You know what I mean? Like, you like something might
dust
happen.
off.
The wheels might come off a little bit.
I'll put the good old fashioned Southern dirt in the wounds. Works every time.
Yeah.
So drive 150 to feel good at 100.
Dude, duh.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like dudes are like, I want to go fast, but and then we got all these dipshits that are making YouTube videos that are like, just rep the fundamentals, brother, and speed will come.
Yeah.
And it's like, when does speed come? Is that like a 2-day air thing, or does Santa bring that, or like when does speed come,
Well,
man?
well,
You know what I
it's
mean?
more
Right,
like
right.
USPS, 6 to
Yeah,
8 weeks.
Maybe it'll
yeah,
get there.
and it's like speed does not come. You have to go and get it. But you have to be
Yeah.
reasonable about what your expectation is when you do that, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
probably not going to like what the target looks like. That's probably going to be a thing. You know what I mean? But nobody's getting ready to put you beside this target and make you take a Facebook profile picture, bro. Like nobody cares. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's just you and even your mates on a line at a training class. Nobody cares, right? And so the worst thing you could do is compare your target to somebody else's. Like, do you know that you shot exactly the same speed as this dude with the same
Mm.
gun on the like you don't know any of that. So maybe he's
Yeah.
shooting at a turtle's pace 3 dudes down from you and you just don't know it because we're all shooting at the same time, right? Maybe that's why
Yeah.
his target
Right.
looks so good. So you're here, who are you here for? All of these dudes or you? Be here for you, right?
Yeah. It is just all in your head. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Dude, it
I
really
like
is,
that.
dude.
I think
It really is.
I might put mine at 50 and start doing reps at
Buy that
50.
buy that book with winning in mind. It'll dude, if you can
just I pulled that up when you were talking about it. Yeah.
if you can learn to control your thoughts, it will literally change your life. Like there is no anxiety on this side of the fence. There is no depression on this side of the fence. There is no there's joy. It's because I have reasonable expectations. I know how to do anything I ever want to do, right? I just
Yeah.
have to decide to do it based on the pay value that is at hand here, right? Like um I have no desire or y- y- I I have no desire to go win a world shoot, for instance. I don't know why I don't care if I do that or not. I just don't, right? I just don't care until I do. Until I really desire to do that, it would be unreasonable for me to think that I'm going to train to a level where I could do that because there's no pay
Yeah.
value in it, right? I like pay value is what gets you out of the bed in the morning when you don't want to get up and go work out, right? Why,
Yep.
why will you go to the gym when you don't want to, right?
Yeah.
There has to be something that's bigger than you, right? And until you can find that, it's very difficult to do the work required to expect reasonable or to have reasonable expectations on results.
Well, and that was something I noted. It's very, I mean, very cliche, but after I had my son, I was like, okay, like I gotta be better. Like I gotta take care of myself. I gotta, push myself to have certain. I mean, obviously, getting married did that as well, but having a small human does that to a different degree. But I make a hobby of like reading into cognition and
Mhm,
neuroscience and stuff like that, and talking about how to make new neural bridges and literally how your brain has to your brain is lazy, so
mhm.
it's just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and then you get a bridge because it's easier, and it's hard to stop yourself from doing that because you're literally creating new pathways.
Dude, like some really good literature on this stuff. If the audience or you guys are interested,
Yeah.
the Talent Code is a great book. The Inner Game of Tennis is a fantastic book. Now it's about tennis, but imagine every time he says racket, he says pistol, and imagine every time he says ball, he says bullet, and you'll be right on track, right? With Winning in Mind is a fantastic one. The oh gosh, Laney Basham's son Troy Basham wrote a book called it's like the 10 attributes of a champion or something like that. I can't remember what it is. The 10 habits. That's another good one. But yeah, all those books, man, are fantastic. And on the defensive side of the house, if you're interested in understanding how to be, better on the protector side, Varg Freeborn's got a book called Violence of Mind that's really good.
Violence of Mind. Yep, I got
Yep.
that one.
And then there's The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. That's a fantastic one that teaches you the science behind your instincts and your kind of gut feelings and what's happening with that and why you should
Hmm.
probably pay attention to that. And it gives validity to those feelings and gives you kind of permission to go with what you feel. So like all of those are fantastic reads, man. And then at the end of the day, it's just like how good do you want to be? Like I really do believe you can be as good at anything as you want to be, right? But first you have to assess, why do you want to do that? Like, because if you don't have any reason, it's going to be a very fleeting thing. You're not going to carry that energy for very long.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
tomorrow, my wife and I will go work out with our personal trainer, and I will hate every minute of it. It will feel like I'm about to die for about 48 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
and I hate it, right? I hate it, and the only reason that I do that is because to watch the demise of my children due to my inability to save their life is unacceptable. I will not allow that, right? And so like that's an example of pay value, right? Like why do you want to do this? You know what I mean? And so why did I want to make GM? I wanted to make GM, number one, because my daddy always told me I wasn't never going to do nothing in my life, right? So there's that. Number two is because it would be dishonorable for me to take your money to show you how to do something if I've not yet been classified at the top of my trade craft, right? And so I owe it to people. Is why I did it. You know.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yep. And that's not to say that, look, if you're going to a shooting coach who's not a GM, I'm not saying he's stealing your money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that was that was my
Right.
own personal
Yeah. Yeah, that's
affliction,
your, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That's your personal.
At the very least, these people should be demoing, right?
Yeah.
Showing the thing they're asking you
Imagine
to
going to
do,
a
which I
math
can't
class where the
believe.
where the
Yeah, I
math
know.
teacher doesn't know how to do the
I'm
problem.
saying.
What are
I
you
can't
talking
believe that's
about?
even an
All right,
argument.
what you're gonna do is you're gonna add them numbers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how to do it. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
that's
we'll
not how
hope
this
that you're
works.
right. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you in
I
the
you
know how
should
this
back.
be able to
works.
Like,
do you should be able to do at a not maybe not at a like a world champion level, but you certainly need to show proficiency in what you're telling people that if they do what you're saying, they will be able to do this.
Yeah,
That's the proof of the concept. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, you should be demoing. Like I'm not even gonna have that conversation. Yeah, you should be demoing.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, Mark,
that's
thank you
funny.
so much for coming on. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, so for the people, plug yourself. Where can we find you? Where can we find your
Probably the
classes?
easiest. I am on Instagram at JBS underscore training group. And then you can go to the website jbstraininggroup.com. Drop down tab. It's going to say training, or you just scroll through the home screen there and you'll find it. It's called the American Tour, and we go around again coast to coast. Large majority of what I do is closed course LE mill stuff, but I got some open enrollment stuff in there, and I try to place it kind of sporadically all throughout the U.S. so that dudes at least are within 8 hours drive of just about something. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Well, last two things I didn't ask you earlier. Where did the bunny come from?
so man, that's a stupid thing. You ever so I needed a logo, right? And to be honest and vulnerable with you, I never really thought this company was going to go anywhere, right? Like it's just like I don't know, just stick something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
back in the day, man, we were about we were 17, 18 years old, and we were drunk, and we were going to go get some tattoos, right? And back then, you couldn't get a tattoo in the state of South Carolina unless you were 21 years old, but you could get one in North Carolina if you were 18. So we jumped in the car, run up to Asheville, and we're up in there. And when you're young and stupid like that, you also happen to be broke. And so when you don't have
It's
any
true.
money, the types of tattoos you get are letters, symbols, or numbers, right? Because you can't afford anything else, and so that's the way it works, right? And so
Yeah,
my buddy's over there and he's looking through the Chinese, you got to get the Chinese symbol on you somewhere, you know what I mean? So
always.
he's
Yep.
looking
Yeah.
through the
Or the
book,
Samoan thing.
and this was, I've always been like messing with guns and stuff like that. I've always been into like the martial arts. I've always done stuff like that. Like, and even back then, and me and my homeboys, I was always tying them up and stuff, and just horsing around. And so they were always clowning me like Mark's gonna grow up and be an assassin, and stuff like that. That's the kind of crap they would always say. And so he's flipping through this book, and one of the little Chinese symbols says that it means black rabbit. They had like tiger and lion and all this, and then they
Yeah,
had
yeah,
one
yeah.
that said black rabbit. And he asked there's a big fat dude over in the corner with like tattoos all over his whole face, bald headed, and he's smoking this hookah. And he was like, "Hey man, why would somebody get something that's a black rabbit? What does that even mean?" And he goes, "The black rabbit is to the Eastern culture what the black cat is to the West. It is the impending doom, the coming of death, and all this." And they were like, "Oh my God, Mark's a black rabbit," and all this. And so I still got a couple of homeboys to this day that when they call me, they, "What are you doing, rabbit?" And so I was like, I'll just throw a little black rabbit up there, that kind of thing. My wife thought he was real cute, and so he was going to go away. about 4 years ago, but she was like, no, 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 it's quirky, it's cute. I love the bunny, I love the rabbit, and all this. So that again, man, it doesn't mean a lot, right? It's just I never thought we would really be doing this, and so I just stuck something up there, and it stuck.
Love
Nice.
that. That might be the best reason to have a logo ever.
Yeah, right. Just needed one. That's all.
All right. The last thing is, when are we going to get more +4 base plates?
So not only will you get more +4 base plates, you're gonna get +6 base plates. So that's why they've been
Whoa.
gone.
Okay.
They've been gone due to a redesign. So one of the things I found with those old ones was that by way of the attachment screw, they wouldn't allow the follower to sink as far down as it could if you would go in and modify the follower screw that had the leg on the back side. It would go down and give you 6. And so end up talking to Taylor Freelance, Robin Taylor over there, great dude, and we're talking about that. And I was like, man, can we modify this somehow? And so we ended up, it's not, I'm pretty sure it's not close hold information anymore. We ended up moving the attachment. I didn't do this. I provided feedback and suggestions. The attachment mat that goes to the front, I actually think I've got one sitting over here that I'll show you. Yeah, I do. And this is not final, design or anything. This is one of the earlier prototypes, but the front of it now has this little latch mechanism that is spring loaded and
No shit.
pulls down and
Okay.
connects, and so there's no
Oh,
screw
wow.
in the back. So now this thing will actually suck down and give 6 rounds and do the same thing as they've been doing. So those will be, man, I don't want to give you a timeline on it. I would say definitely expect them by summertime. But again, it's still like he's got to make all of them. He's got to put them in the
Yeah.
coating that he reserves for mine. Like mine are the only ones you can get in matte black. All the other ones are like purple and lime green and stuff like that. And then I've got to get them lasered, and so I would think probably by July. I would say you should probably see some
Okay.
on there.
And those are good for 30s and 20s
They're going
and
anything. Yep,
40s.
they're going anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
I saw
on
them.
that's on a 40 rounder right now. So
40. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'd seen them a lot on 20s. And Kevin and I like the idea of the 20 rounders just in terms of format, getting the gun low. But
yeah, I'm starting to
Kevin's
shift.
a fan.
I'm shifting
Yeah.
towards more 20 round. Just
And
because
his
20
is
with an extension is a vibe, dude. Like I've been in multiple
Yeah.
situations where a 30 was just a little bit too cumbersome for something like
Yeah,
a barricade that
that's-
has depth
yeah.
and
Yep.
layers to it.
exactly.
But I've been in also the same amount of situations where I've had just a 20 rounder and I wished I had like 2 more bullets.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We have had that exact conversation. So yeah, that's interesting.
You're
Well,
reading my thoughts.
I'm
Yeah.
saying. Well, Mark, seriously, thank you so much. This has been
Yeah.
an absolute pleasure, and we'd love to have you back on again. Get you back on, but yeah, and to the listeners, I mean, honestly, this kind of stuff would not be possible without y'all. Y'all are a blessing. This is without y'all, we could not go to SHOT Show. We couldn't talk to amazing people like Mark. We couldn't do this for any relevant or like literally at all. So, best thing you can do to support the show is Kevin's gonna say his thing, but ideally positive things. Leave positive reviews.
Well, in lieu of the conversation we've been
he
having,
always says fucking death threats and shit, and he's like, "Oh,
I think-
engagement's engagement."
I
I'm like,
think,
please no.
I think a heartfelt, positive death threat
Oh, God.
would be okay.
What the fuck?
If they're
He's
passionate
playing
and they're,
mind games now.
if they're passionate and positive about the willingness to try and do us to buys, very good then.
My lord. All right. Well, yep. Spotify, iTunes, all the places. Leave us reviews. Say hi. Do whatever. But yeah. So until next time, guys. Thank you for listening. Hey,
Outro.
you made it to the end of the video. Very cool. You should like and subscribe.
On Facebook and Instagram.
And Twitter and Spotify. You should listen there too. If you
Aren't they
heard
listening
this on
to
Spotify.
this on Spotify right now?
Well, they could be, but there's also YouTube podcasts. So, all of the places.
We always forget where we post this stuff.
We don't know where this is. Thank you for listening wherever you're listening to, but you should also like the other places that we are. And
Who
then
are we and what the hell are we doing here?
yeah, I don't know how we got here. So thank you for letting us talk directly into your ear holes.
Right to the brain.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Adios.